What's up guys, Josh here. Today I want to talk about an all-new vehicle that is coming out and I found quite interesting as I, did a little research on it, and I wanted to address it to everybody I possibly can out there, and maybe hopefully this video may inspire you to get one if you got the cash, because it is a very, very expensive vehicle. Like, you gotta win the mega millions to get it, so to speak. I would like to see, how many people are surprised to hear about it. This vehicle is, surprise, surprise, and a basically electric vehicle. And so yeah, this vehicle is called the Mercedes Benz EQS. Now the Mercedes Benz EQS is a Mercedes Benz, which is basically the all-electric platform and whatnot, and there are two versions of the car. There's the EQS 450 Plus, which is more so like the bare bone base model of it, and then you have the EQS 580 4MATIC. I think you say 4MATIC. I think the rest of the video will just call it the 580 just in case. But yeah, so anyway, the 450 Plus comes with, I would assume, maybe like a V6-ish engine and packs 329 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque on a rear-wheel drive powertrain. Interesting, we'll get into a second why it's interesting, but yeah, the lower model of that, the 450 Plus, is rear-wheel drive, and then the 580 is all-wheel drive, which is quite interesting because you would think the 580 would be rear-wheel drive because the higher performance versions of cars are mostly rear-wheel drive and the lower versions are the all-wheel drive, and that's something, like I said, that I find quite interesting. Now, speaking of the 580, it comes with 516 horsepower and 611 pound-feet of torque, and that's the all-wheel drive version of the car. Now it's probably like the most advanced version because all-wheel drive is a lot better in the snow, and hopefully it'll come with, snow tires and things like that, just like any other car. But I don't know, I just found the powertrains quite interesting and things like that. So the 450 Plus is estimated to do 0 to 60 in like 5.5 seconds, which is pretty soon not going to be all that impressive. Then you have the 580, which is supposed to do 0 to 60 in like just roughly about a little over 4 seconds, which is going to be great. Like, imagine if cars could do 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds. It takes off like a rocket ship. Yeah, that's going to be quite fun. Be like going on the King to Con. You're just all strapped in and stuff, going 120 all around. And so the battery that this car is supposed to come with is supposed to provide 107 kilowatts. This battery is supposed to provide more than 300 horsepower. It's supposed to provide 300 miles of charge range. So that's pretty good. So it's about, most little cars, they can get like 350 miles to the tank, if not maybe a little more in today's standards. So that's cool. Hopefully, these cars can charge just as quick as you fill a gas tank. Roughly it takes maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes depending on what kind of vehicle you drive, but hopefully technology will catch up to that sometime. And yeah, so one of the things I wanted to get into, it has some type of optimal upgrade that can turn the vehicle 10 degrees, either up or down or something like that. I don't know. I don't think I'm 100% accurate on that, but it's supposed to do something. It's supposed to lower the car if you're going a certain speed. Like, for example, if you're going like 75, which is pretty much like a normal cruising highway speed, it's supposed to like lower the car for better handling. And that's something that will really benefit on the driver's part, because if you drive a big monster truck, like, you're not going to have as good handling as you would with any other type of muscle car, which just really isn't a muscle car, but is very sporty and fancy. Now, like, speaking of fancy, if you look at a picture of the interior is just gorgeous. Looks like, a preview of what cars are eventually going to look like. And yeah, so speaking of the upgrade thing I was talking about, let's say if you're on a track going like triple digits, it's supposed to even lower the car a little bit more, so you have less of a chance of losing control. I mean, not that you really lose control if you know what you're doing, but you just have overall better handling of the vehicle, and it's probably going to be a lot easier to handle at higher speeds, and that's something that'll really benefit on the driver's part. And the charging charging time is supposed to charge from 10% to 100% in just 11 hours and 15 minutes. Now, it's really not like all that great when you have to plug in a car for as long as you could be going on a road trip, but hopefully, companies are going to get their stuff together and come up with something, like I said earlier, that could charge up a car as quick as it takes to fill up a gas tank. We're quite some ways there. And speaking of that, it's supposed to do that using a 240 volt level 2 charger, which is, I would assume, like the standard charger of, vehicle's battery. And on that note, it is supposed to replenish 70% of power, 10% to 80% in just a whopping 35 minutes using a DC charger. So I would assume that the DC charger is like a quicker charger that will just, charge it right up ASAP, as fast as it possibly can. So that goes to show that technology in electric vehicles is really evolving quickly. That's quite interesting. The MSRP of this vehicle is gonna start at $96,000. Yeah, the 580 is supposed to start at 116,000. So really expensive vehicle. So the steering system on this vehicle can angle the vehicle up to 4.5 degrees, which is supposed to really optimize the steering. So you gotta have quite the cash if you want to drive one of these things. It's almost expensive as, a Lambo, so to speak. Any type of Lambo, Ferrari, so it's quite a ways up there. It's not something especially that I could even afford right now, but, I just found this car quite interesting to briefly address and see how many people out there who watch this video might, look into it and maybe even go as far as buying one for themselves. Who knows? The optimal upgrading thing, as I was saying earlier, is supposed to make even tight turns a lot better, because the car would be lower and would have less of a chance of flipping over if you were to abruptly turn the wheel at 45-50 miles an hour. So that's a plus. So this car is reported to have a quiet interior and very smooth ride, but those facts still have yet to be proven. So this car is supposed to consist of a gauge screen, a center touch screen, and a passenger touch screen. So this car is basically going to come with a whole lot of screens all over the place. This car is going to probably look something like a fancy Back to the Future kind of car, so to speak. So this car is supposed to come with a fingerprint system, as you might have on your iPhone or iPod or iPad. I don't know if they really make those anymore, unless it's still an option, because you have the Face IDs now. But it's supposed to be a fingerprint system in this car that's supposed to have a driver's profile. I guess it's something where they can have their own seat settings and climate settings and things like that. So that's really neat. Ford has memory seats, so you can program it to remember who likes what seating position. So that's really cool. So it's supposed to come with the normal features in newer cars today, like the automated emergency braking, the blind spot monitoring, lane departure warning. This car is up and coming in the future games. So one of the only sources of information right now it's not really out is the miles per gallon and the fuel economy, so to speak, and the warranty and maintenance coverage, which will soon be available when this car is test driven along the track. Will be interesting to see what kind of results it gets, and hopefully it's pretty positive results. And it's pretty much all I had to say about this car. So very interesting and unique vehicle overall. I would like to see what happens as this vehicle comes out and all these results start coming in, and see if it's a success as it's it was intended to be. So anyway, that's really all I got to say. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time.